Hello and welcome to episode 58 of FPL Apprentice. Still the only podcast in series that delves into the mind of one of the greatest players of all time. In his 8 seasons playing the game, he's got 6 top 10k finishes, 5 top 5k finishes, and is a former world number one. That is, of course, Mr. Matthew Corbridge. Matt, how are we, my friend? It's been I think we missed 2 game weeks since our last one.
Yeah, mate. I think we managed the whole year without doing that, right? We're not being as consistent as we were promising or hoping. But hey, the game week's coming thick and fast. Things are good, mate. Things are good. I was a little bit distracted there whilst you were doing the intro. I was just looking at my differentials. Fortunately, De Bruyne not in scope. 5.5% ownership. So yeah, I think I'm the struggle this week. Yeah, I think it's good, mate. I think
Son's 5.1.
Oh, yeah, there's some tasty options just above the threshold. But yeah, if I do look down, that's what it's incredibly rude, but that's what I'm looking at. But things are well, like lots of game weeks and lots of green arrows, I think, with both of us, which is cool. And yeah, exciting period coming ahead. New chip, which I'm sure we'll talk about. So yeah, things are good. And yourself, mate? How are you?
Good. Yeah, it's partly my fault we haven't been able to catch up because I feel like I was in Turkey, then I was in London, then I was in Lisbon, and for those listening, I don't travel that much. I don't know why it all just came at once, but I've not been around that much, but it should be back to normal going forward. But yeah, can't complain, mate. I've had 2 green arrows over those 2 game weeks. Good captain pick this week, thanks to the Merseyside derby being postponed. But I'm not so happy. You were talking about differentials. I'm not so happy about Matt versus Dave because you, for the first time in history, have taken a 3-point lead. So I've got some work to do there. But yeah, exciting news today. I might as well load it up. Reveal of the new mystery chip has finally come out. It can be playable from game week 24 onwards. For those that haven't seen this, to give you a rough guide, it is called Assistant Manager, and you will get to pick a actual manager in the Premier League for 3 consecutive game weeks from when you play the chip. Now you can transfer that manager. You haven't got to stick with the same one, but it does cost you a transfer or a -4 hit if you don't have a free transfer available. The way the points works, if that team wins or the manager wins, you get 6 points. If it's a draw, it's 3. You don't get anything for a loss. However, if the manager manages a team that is 5 Premier League places below the team that they are playing and wins, you actually get 16 points for a win. You get 8 points for a draw. And then regardless, it's 2 points for clean sheet and 1 point per goal that team scores. On the face of it, Matt, initial thoughts?
I think the game week 24 is an interesting thing. Why is that notable? It's not halfway through. It's not the new year. Yeah. I mean, that's the first thing. Is like, why is it activated game week 24? I think it's surprising, right? I wasn't expecting this. Yeah. I was expecting something along the lines of you can reverse a transfer, you can do an all-out attack, your vice captain gets points. Like I know a lot of other fantasy games, they have an equivalent where your captain is a triple captain and then your vice captain gets double. There's also kind of things where you can almost like reverse your kind of like moves as well. So I was suspecting something along those lines that follow a similar strategy. So it's called Assistant Manager, right? But essentially it's picking a team, right? Or teams for a little bit. Yeah. So like I don't know. I mean, I think chips generally I'm not a huge fan because I think they add a bit of randomness versus like the skill, right? It does add a bit of luck because it's not stuff spread out over 38 games weeks. It's like a kind of small period of time. I mean, strategies that I'll be thinking about. So picking the manager / team for this kind of like short period, it is a cost, right? So I think having some flex in the periods that you're considering them to have that kind of flex, like having a bit of money in you kind of bank that 1.5 so you can flex up and down, makes a lot of sense. I think because of how they're scoring, right? So there's a difference of 6 points for winning a game, but if you're a lower team playing higher teams, like you get 16 points. I mean, that's what you want to chase, right? So what I'd be looking for is those periods where like you're going to get a lot of better analysis from people who are smart than us and will think this through like endlessly. Like, so I'm just like talking off cuff here, right? Spitballing ideas. But I think two examples would be quite nice. Is during late in the season when you've got a team that's in and around the relegation zone that's going to get that good bit of form, right? You see it most years. I think that could be a manager to target, right? Is one of those like teams that have been lower. They need to beat the kind of relegation places. They kind of pull away. Like you always see that every season, right? So I think that's one example would be kind of interesting, just because it's got that. It's maximising your opportunity to get those wins against playing teams higher in the league. And a similar example is every year there's a team that their true position in the league doesn't really reflect how good they've been, right? So last year Chelsea was that example, right? They should have been top four last year based on underlying performances, and the last quarter of the season they were very good, right? It kind of did even itself out a little bit, right? But at the beginning of the season they were just like rubbish, right? They were like lower half the table. I think spotting out those trends of teams that the underlines are really good, but for whatever reason they've been unlucky. You could target them, and like sometimes that's linked with new managers as well, right? So you could look at a team like Manchester United, but like, I'd be looking for these kind of like themes, like new managers that have come in, teams that have been unlucky, and then have a decent run, albeit with teams that are a little bit better. And then when there's like a team that's in around the relegation zone, but like looks like it's got the opportunity to kind of go for some form. So I'd be targeting runs where I think you can get those 16 pointers. Makes sense. I don't know if there's any logic there. Again, I've had like probably 2 minutes to digest.
I get it. I think Spurs could be perfect for that, because Spurs, both ways, by the way, because Spurs seem to lose to teams that are lower than them, like Ipswich. Yet they seem to put 4 past Man City and win and get a clean sheet. So I think Spurs could be an interesting one for this chip. But take advantage still there, that is.
For sure. I mean, I'm just looking at the table now. Like, what team am I looking there that's probably underperforming their true potential or position? Newcastle,
Yeah.
Manchester United potentially. Like, you think would have the option? Wolves, for sure. I mean, Wolves, they might sack their manager as well, right? But there's some teams there that, hey, let's see where we're at. Like when this chip comes eligible, where you could make a bet on them. I think what I won't be doing is jumping between different managers. I think once
pick one
teams pick one, because I think your true value is surely is still with banking those transfers and kind of like working on it. But yeah, I think there's some lower half. Yeah, Spurs is a good example maybe because they're 11th in the table now, right? So yeah, I think I'm not going to obsess over it until it becomes
relevant.
Becomes relevant. I think you'd want to avoid it when you're bench boosting stuff, right? Because like your wider chip strategy and whatnot has an impact. Bench boosting, you want your maximum value out on the bench and the pitch, right? So that 1.5 save to a manager probably isn't great. Does it apply on this? I didn't look at the fine print on the rules and how it operates, but if you have a double game week, you play the manager twice, because that could be pretty tasty.
Correct. You do play the manager twice. And I believe, say I play this chip game week 30, 31, 32, and I want to play my free hit in 32, I won't be allowed to because I've got a chip active.
Yeah.
So I'm getting that from Ben Crellin's Twitter post.
No.
And he seems to know, he knows his stuff, Bren.
So yeah, I think obviously wider chip strategy is going to have a play here. Like there could be some like tasty little run where you got a random double game week. Everton could be a great example, right? They'll have an extra double game week just to cancellation with Liverpool. They might have one, and they may be low in the league, and they might have a nice bit of form. So yeah, I think it's interesting. Gut reaction is like, hey, bit of a distraction. I'd rather not, just because it's like it adds a bit of randomness. But hey, I'm not going to get massively passionate again about it. Some people.
Well, I mean, I'm not. My initial gut is I don't like it, but part of the game, isn't it? Part of the game. I'm with you. I'll probably chase those 16 pointers. I think if you get one 16 pointer, it's worth the it basically wipes out 3 6-pointers not far off. So
And there are scenarios where that becomes more likely, right? It's where a team has an artificially low ranking in the league. It's when they have had a manager change, which sometimes can link with that, and it's when a low team is just going to get some form, which could be like a beautiful run of fixtures. Like Wolves are artificially low because of their terrible run of fixtures up until now, right? There could be a period where all the teams they're playing are higher in the league just because, like, Wolves are like 20th or something like that. Yeah, 19th, right? So there's scenarios where you can kind of target that and like hope to get lucky. Wins and draws is I think I'll be chasing those 16 points for the wins when you're beating a team 5 positions ahead.
Yeah, with you. There you go. There's something new. We'll no doubt cover this off again closer to game week 24 when it's active. But for the time being, we will have a look at game week 15. I'll go first, mate, because mine's dead easy. Mine is a very quick overview because I didn't do a transfer. It was a roll. Quite happy with the roll, to be honest, because I did consider doing a transfer. People that have me on Twitter will see that I half contemplated selling Wissa for Watkins. I think I messaged you about that. The reason I didn't do it is because Watkins would have been a one-game punt, and you've taught me better than that, Matt. His next 3 game weeks are poor. And worked out beautifully because Watkins, I would have captained him, by the way, if I'd have bought him in. Didn't start, came off the bench, got 1 point. Seems to be there's something wrong with him. He obviously went off a hard time in the Champions League yesterday as well.
Exactly.
So didn't bring him in, which meant I played Wissa, who got a goal. And a bonus point, I also had Brentford's Mbeumo with a goal and assist, getting me 13. So that worked out very nicely. Lucky with Palmer as captain in the sense that he got 2 penalties. That doesn't happen every game week. And I think he was very fortunate to be given the assist that he was given. Took a shot, deflected into Enzo's path, bang. There you go. So I feel like he got very lucky to get 18 points, but I'll take him all day long. And then the last person that got me points was Saliba. Interesting one for you, Matt. Game week 1 to game week 13, Saliba's expected goal involvement 0.00.
Yeah.
And in game weeks 14 and 15, he's got a goal in each. So again,
it's Gabriel being out. Well, I don't know the ins and outs of Arsenal's like corner routines, but like we know they're pretty good, right? We know Gabriel's a threat. I don't think it's a coincidence that Saliba hasn't even been lucky with his goals, right? He's had like very good underlying stats because the ball has just been falling to him in the penalty box for post corners and set pieces, right? So I think it's probably a function of Gabriel being out. But mate, congratulations on another good week and cracking overall rank just outside the 200k.
That's it. Yeah, big jump. So I think 206 overall. The booking before Fabianski got booked, I was just breaking the top 200, but that booking took me down a little bit. But 946 overall. I can't complain, mate.
It's looking good. I think fair play as well for not giving into the temptation of the Watkins transfer, which had been lucky and like look what's happened now. I think you're in the position now where I think you can get into grinding mode of
hopefully
sensible decisions throughout, and you should kind of have a really nice rank. Like so, I don't think you have to push it or force it. So I think fair play, kind of keeping your powder dry there. And me, I've got 2 more points to close the gap a little bit. So 77 points for a 330k game week rank, which those game week ranks are really good. I think, and these days anything sub 1.5 mil is kind of really good. I think we should get you a healthy green arrow. So I'm at 1.3 million overall rank now. So it was looking good until like I think it was sub a million prior to the West Ham game, but West Ham Wolves game. But I think there's a few relatively highly owned players like Nori got an assist. Boeing is fairly well owned, and he did kind of really well there. So I'm kind of happy with such a kind of a big green arrow. I feel fortunate with Palmer. Of course, I would have captained Salah if that game had gone ahead. So kind of like lucky that happened, and also lucky that Palmer got all the returns he did. You don't see that every game week. What else was of note? attacking line, Pedro, Cunha, and Solanke. Solanke's an interesting one because, like, yeah, I'd prefer him to be Isak in my team. That would work better with my structure, but I can't get there from a price point. So I'm not loving having Solanke, but he got a return, which is okay. Cunha's been very, very deep for the last couple of games. I think when he did go on that run, we were all very, very lucky, and we noticed that he was outperforming his stats, but the fixtures gave enough. He's just playing. I don't know if I'd we'll see if they get some penalties, right? That the penalties are king, right? We seen that with Palmer like this week. But Cunha's playing very deep. Strand Larson, I'd probably prefer him at this point in time, given price and how far forward he plays. So yeah, Cunha, I wasn't expecting him to kind of blow me away, but I've been very disappointed the last couple of games. And then in defense, I played Fabianski and benched Flecken. That was a decision, but I only lost 1 point kind of margin despite Flecken getting an assist. With Brentford are super leaky, like super leaky, which is crazily bad. I think in defence was somewhat unfortunate because I think you own Saliba as well. Yes, he got a attacking return. However, I think Arsenal conceded from the only shot in the game.
Yeah, Sullivan two shots, I think, and one.
I think the underlying stats were like expected goals conceded with 0.2 or something like that, or less than 0.2. Right? So I feel like another day that's a 15-pointer for Saliba, right? Saka had a marginal goal disallowed. Saka has been quiet. Like again, I forced talking about forcing moves. I forced the Saka move 2 game weeks ago from Bruno Fernandes. I would probably have been up points if I kept Bruno, but yeah, I'm still happy to have Saka in the team, but he hasn't done too much. And then Lewis got red carded, of course, and like really shouldn't have had the second yellow, so kind of really lost. I think net 3 or 4 points there with kind of Lewis, but got to be happy with a 330k game week rank. So
absolutely,
all good, mate. All good. Positive for both of us, right?
Absolutely. And jump to as the weeks go on, I reckon in 2-3 weeks you'll be in that top million. So it's looking healthier for us both, I think.
For sure.
Review of where we are in the league. So we'll see for the first time ever this season ever, because this is the only season we've done this league. Our old friend Thomas Jones has gone to the top. Had a game week of 71 to jump him up to the top. I also want to call Thomas out for the name Jota the Slotter. That is a fantastic name. He's on 985 points overall, which ranks him at 33k in the world.
Nice.
But yeah, nice to see him up there, Thomas. SM, unfortunately for you, just dropped down 4 points behind on 981, and then just 1 point behind is at R1 on 980. They've both been top. Nice to share it out with Thomas. And we've got a secret soft spot for Thomas, haven't we? Because he gave us our very first ever super chat on this channel. So always a place in our heart, Thomas.
For sure.
No offense to SM and R1, of course.
Hey, I think that we're fond of there's some names that I've seen in the chat before as well. I've seen kind of Arwen as well, but some big scores. I think they're good consistency. Like a lot of the names have been there a lot of the season, right? So it's not a fluke of a wrong game week. You must be on the threshold. You must be top 20 now.
So I'm 19th. I am 19th. I'm not far off at all. I'm 11 points behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm getting there. You're 51st. There's 77 in the league. So, but
I'd love to be top half.
You're climbing up. Yeah. That sounds patronising. I don't mean it to, mate. You genuinely are climbing up. It's obviously a competitive league because if you're 51st out of 77 and you're 1.3 million, it tells you that the league's performing well.
No, definitely. I mean, like, I got to own it. Like, I've made some shocking goals. Well, I think both of us, right? We made the bet against Salah, didn't we? Right, for a long time.
We did.
I think that's one of the kind of that was the key decision. I think in this season so far, it's like when did you decide to keep Salah?
And I'll tell you now. I know now because I follow Thomas on Twitter or Blue Sky, whichever one he prefers. Thomas hasn't had Haaland since game week 6, if at all this season. Yeah. He definitely didn't have him from game week 6.
Old call and the right one as well.
It worked out perfectly. We'll very quickly touch on the fixture ticker because we touched on it last week and most of the teams are the same. Chelsea at the top like they were, Liverpool up there, Arsenal in there. Man City have jumped up. Now,
yep,
I think they were 7th. But Man City are now up to third. Newcastle in there as well. But yeah, no real shocks. As I say, most of those teams were there already.
I think some good medium term runs here, and like some good teams that you can target with very accessible players, right? So I think Chelsea, you're looking at Colwill, you're looking at obviously Palmer, who should be in everyone's team at this stage. Jackson's very interesting. I think obviously Nkunku did start a game, which is interesting. I would love Jackson, but it's kind of interesting as a non-owner that Nkunku came in. Liverpool, everyone's probably got Salah. It's now a case of there's a nice. Next two games are tough for various different reasons. There's a nice run 18 onwards. I think a few people be eyeing up Trent. And looking at options there. Man City again, they're kind of better run, but starts really game week 18 onwards. It's a question of I think some people, if Haaland does good the next two game weeks, I think people will be thinking, how can I get him back in my team? It might come if people don't have free transfers lined up and haven't considered that, it might come to as a surprise and one that could cause a bit of panic. Newcastle, I've mentioned Isak. I'd love Isak in my team. I definitely would prefer him over Solanke. I might find it tough to kind of squeeze him in, but I think those fixtures don't really scream clean sheets to me. But I think there's opportunities for Isak to do very well.
Absolutely.
Same with Arsenal. Some games that they can grind out. But looking at it now, it's Arsenal have almost had some of their easy fixtures, and then it's going to get mixed 19 onwards, and I've got three Arsenal players, so it's a little bit tough.
Yeah, and look at. I want to put the next screen. We're going to talk about the big four players, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that'd be Haaland, Saka, Palmer, and Salah. Because you can only have you can maybe have three if you have all the midfielders. If you get Haaland in, the chances are you can only have two of them. Look at game week 18. Palmer's a home to Fulham, Salah's a home to Leicester, Haaland's a home to Everton, and Saka's a home to Ipswich. I mean, who are you captaining there out of those four? That is a crazy game week.
It's quite easy, I think. But
right, you go Salah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Fair play.
Leicester's defence are awful. Come on, and they look even worse under Van Nistelrooy from a defensive point of view. So I think we can force a debate, but
you go big mode, the king of FPL. But as I say, I'll bring this screen up because it basically compares over the last 6 game weeks those big four players I've just mentioned. And despite Salah only playing 5 games rather than 6, he is still miles ahead on expected points. He's on 57.4. Second place is Palmer on 50.89. And he's played a game less. He is absolutely flying. He's expected points per 90 of 11.66 is insane.
Spot on. I think what's interesting here is when we shared comparisons of premium assets previously, right? Haaland and he has been very unlucky, right? Last 6 game weeks, expected points of 40. He's had 23 points. However, his expected points, which we are looking at, were quite on par with Salah and Palmer. But obviously, the last 6 game weeks now, you've seen a gap emerge, right? Yes, Salah's been lucky. Palmer's underperforming, right? Not by a great margin, but he's underperforming. But a gap has moved. So I think as Haaland owners, I think underlying stats, we probably moved off at the right time. He's been very bad, especially the last 2 or 3 game weeks as well. So I mean that's an interesting trend, right? Is that he's been still been unlucky, but the underlying there's a gap emerging, right? So I'm looking at that. If you to ask me, pick 2 at the moment or 3, I'd exclude Haaland just because of the price, right? Obviously, Salah and Palmer, we looked at the fixtures there, absolute no-brainers, fantastic underlyings and fantastic kind of performance, right? Great fixtures coming up, both are absolute no-brainers. Saka's got a nice run there, but I think his run is a lot better than Haaland's if you compare it like for like. I think I would say that's. I would say that's, but it's not a lot better. I would say it's better from an attacking point of view, but he costs 4.5 mil cheaper. So I think that's key. That's key.
No, I get that. On the Haaland point, I've just double checked. In the last 2 game weeks when De Bruyne started, his expected points per 90 was 6.1. In the 4 game weeks prior to that, it was 6.1. So De Bruyne hasn't made a difference to Haaland's expected output.
I think the fixtures have made a difference though. They had like, tougher fixtures there, but like that's not value for money in terms of expected points. Six is not enough when you've got Salah and Palmer going crazy. So yeah, I think it's interesting that like when we last looked at this, it was like, oh, there's still a lot of justification of keeping Haaland or kind of whatnot, but not now. We'll see what I think for him is like, we'll see what happens the next two game weeks and then see trends.
And on
Saka,
that, you touched on it, right? The idea that you could potentially move to Haaland for game week 18. The one that you maybe give up is Saka, right? Because he's performing not as well as Palmer and Salah. From game week 19, his fixtures turn compared to them two as well. He also seems to be off corners, mate. Declan Rice is taking some corners, which was a big thing for Saka. He was on all the set pieces.
Yeah. I mean, there's a huge gap in price there, and I'm kind of happy owning him. But I think it has to be clear. There's a gap between him and these three players, and there's a gap between Haaland at the moment and Salah and Palmer, right? So, I think people got Saka can be kind of flying with him, but not. I don't think he's not a captaincy option, is he really? But nor do you really need to pick him. So I'm kind of happy again to keep my powder dry, and I think with Haaland as well, I don't think you have to force the move in game week. What's that? In 3 game weeks time, right? Because he's playing Everton at home, but you've made the point, Dave, that like everyone else has got great options as well. So if he was like the standout captaincy option, then maybe it's a choice. But like all the other guys have got awesome fixtures there as well. Even after that, Salah's playing West Ham, Palmer's playing Leicester, Palmer's playing Ipswich, Saka's playing Brentford. That's not screaming out to me. I definitely need Haaland. Like I'm not. So I'm not going to force it. So I can wait 2 weeks and then like reassess it as a non-owner. As a Saka owner, I think it's a cool. You're never going to captain him, but like I think it's kind of cool given those fixtures in the next 4 to kind of keep an eye on him. Salah, Palmer, I think are must-haves given the fixtures and the form and the output and the underlines, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm glad you said what you've just said there, and we'll come on to it when I come on to my team and my transfer plans later on. But we both have Mbeumo.
Yep.
I also have Wissa. And I've seen a lot of people selling one, both potentially. So I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on it. And the reason is I put the fixtures on the screen. So for those that are listening, their fixtures go Chelsea away, Forest at home, Brighton away, Arsenal at home, Southampton away, Man City at home, and Liverpool at home. Long story short, in their next 7, they play 6 of the top 7 in the division, and Southampton away, and the rubbish away. But Brentford are second to bottom on the away fixture ticker. So those fixtures are as bad as they get.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the Brentford team?
Well, I'm an unhappy Flecken owner, so I think you can separate their defence to their attack. They're still going okay from an attacking point of view, particularly at home, right? On the for those looking on screen, I think those stats. What the last 4? Last 6 or last 4 game weeks?
Last 6.
Last 6, yeah. So I mean, obviously in Mbeumo, like what's notable there is like he's very poor stats. Like the last 6, so he's got like an expected goal involvement less than 2. Right. Per 90 stats are looking a bit better in terms of expected points. Like he's got 4 in the last 6. This is a good 5, right? So over 5. I think it's just like who's the option. I think it still feels like a luxury move, right? So Mbeumo's got like a bit of pedigree when it comes to fantasy, right? He's on all set pieces, he's on penalties, and again that he plays every game. That's a lot to love. Wissa again, he's not on penalties, but plays 90. He's got a bit of a fantasy pedigree. That's a lot to like, especially when I go for that crowd, that kind of like period of loads of fixtures around Christmas time. So I think they're luxury moves. I don't think you have to like. It's for whom? Like for Mbeumo, it would be like Bowen, maybe. Right, if you're looking at that price back bracket, right? But I think it feels like forcing the move, right? And Wissa again, because of his cheap price, it's like there's not many like for like plays that you'd want to jump onto. Like what? Like João Pedro, Raul Jimenez. Like obviously you prefer Isak or Haaland to him. Like
Over to Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah, that exactly. So I think there's a lot to like with them. So I think it's a bit of a luxury move. I think obviously it was part of a wider move where you're freeing up cash and reinventing the team and whatnot. I think it's cool. I think Mbeumo, potentially game week 18, I'm considering like a move as part of like freeing up funds a little bit more widely. But again, I'm gonna upgrade and change my setup of my wide team a little bit on that. But yeah, in isolation, I'm fine with having them. Are you worried?
Well, I'll tell you now, when it comes to my plans for the game week, I have 2 free transfers, and the one that I'm leaning towards is selling both of them. But I'll tell you for in a bit. And it's not, I wouldn't say I'm worried. Those fixtures are horrific, mate. And I just feel like there's an upside in bringing in the 2 other people I'm
I don't
considering.
know. The next 3 aren't the worst.
But I'm looking at them away form. They've got 1 point on the road this season.
You don't care. It don't matter about points. It's about FPL points for these guys. If they score a goal, happy days.
True. I do think the people I'm going to bring in will outscore them, short term and long term.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't ruin it, mate. I won't ruin it. I'll let you go. Wow, Dave, that's an amazing move. Or Dave, you're an idiot. We'll do that in about 10 minutes, if that. Yeah, I'm considering it.
I mean, it's not ideal having 2, especially having both of them. It's not ideal. I'll give you that. Yeah. I'll give you that. But like, I'm not looking at the team desperately. I mean, Cunha might be a bigger issue than Wissa to some extent.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
Well,
I think having 2 isn't ideal. I think we can agree on that, and we can agree the fixtures coming up aren't great, and we can agree in Mbuemo's cases, like he's been not great despite coming off a 13-point haul.
Yeah, it depends though. 1 pen, Palmer's proven it. Salah's proven it. 1 pen, you get 10 points in as a midfielder.
Yep, exactly.
Touching on Salah, captaincy options. So he is top of the game week with expected points of 9. So way ahead, by the way. Haaland in second with 6.8 with a home game against Man United. But interestingly, mate, I'm probably going to captain Salah. There's no real debate around it. But out of the 5 that are expected to get the most points, he is playing the best defence. Fulham expected goals conceded per 90 this season, away from home, is 1.25. Palmer at home to Brentford, expected points 6.5. They concede away from home, expected to concede per 90 away from home, 2.24, which is nearly double.
No,
you sat on Salah?
No, I'm guessing these expected points are from Fix, yeah?
Yes.
Shout out, guys. Great work. So I'll go easy. Palmer looks way too low.
Yeah.
And Salah looks too high. I'd say both of them are the standouts. And I'd say it's very close. I'm on Salah at the moment, but it's going to be a coin toss. And the reason being, kind of like Liverpool are better than Chelsea, of course. Both the players get a lot of penalties, but that's the nature of being in attacking teams, right? They get penalties. Brentford are a lot worse than Fulham defensively. So like Fulham, I have to look at those. I have to do a view. Those stats, like a nature of who they played, right? Obviously, they haven't played Liverpool yet, so obviously you'd imagine that expected goals conceded would go up. But I think it's a coin toss. I think it's really close between Palmer and Salah.
No, I think I agree with you, mate. I do. Even if I had Isaac, I'd consider that at home to Leicester if I had him. I don't. But I'm with you. I'm on Salah in a minute. I'll probably stick with Salah.
That's a little bit of a stretch, but Fulham have been good. Fulham have been good, but Liverpool are on another planet at the moment, right? So I don't think Fulham would worry them, and I fully expect them to score 2 goals plus, and Salah will have an involvement, no doubt. Just Brentford has been really bad. Like Brentford, you could see Chelsea score 4 or 5, and you wouldn't be surprised. Right? So I think it's really close, and I think Salah's a bit over-egged in terms of 9 expected points, and then Salah's kind of over-egging that Palmer. I'm cooking him. I reckon it's close. I'd say
not
it's
to,
if I had the model, it'd probably be around 8 expected points for both of
for
them.
both. Not to jinx it, Salah scored in 7 games in a row. He's never scored in 8 Premier League games in a row. Just put it out there.
Well, he's
We
never
move
played
on.
as good as he is now. So I think
True.
that's a point as well.
But moving on to Matt versus Dave, I touched on it before. I don't really want to look at the last game week too much because you won. Mateta got a goal. My players did nothing. Foden didn't even start, and I usually go Bernardo Silva, who scored, and would have got me 10 points as well. Decided to go for Foden as he was under 5%. He got 0. Strand Larson got 2. You had Evan Nielsen with 2, and then Mateta with 8. 10-2 win for you means you're 7-4 in the lead. The first time any of us have ever taken a 3-point lead. So I have got work to do, Matt. Much work to do. Good news for me is I am first this game week, looking at game week 16. And from what looked like really nice fixtures, mate, I thought there's going to be so many to pick from here, but I've found it difficult. And I keep coming to similar names. And I'm going to pick somebody that I picked last time. They got 2 points, which is Strand Larson. He's
Yeah,
4.4%
nice.
owned. He's a home to Ipswich, and he has 8 returns this season. So I'm hoping he can turn it on a home to Ipswich. It's a must-win game for Wolves, as much as it's a must-game win for Ipswich as well. But yeah, I'm just fancy
No,
Wolves at
I
home
like
game
that.
for Larson to maybe get something from it.
I think that's a good pick, mate. I'm looking at my options now, so I'm just checking fixtures and stuff like that. So bear with me.
It's tough,
I
man.
think it's a favourite that we pick probably most weeks we've picked him. Yeah. It's got to be Evan Nielsen, isn't it? 4.6% owned.
It's exactly what it's got to be.
Yeah, I mean, like he's doing great, isn't he? Really, in terms of like underlying stats, Bournemouth have been really solid. West Ham been defensively really poor. So yeah, I mean, he's a bit of a gift. So yeah, Evan Nielsen at home to West Ham.
Yeah, agree. I think they were always going to be the first 2 picked.
Do
So
you reckon
whichever one
Irish
I
will
wanted,
ever own Evan Nielsen?
buy him. Potential.
Yeah.
Potential. No, whilst I've got Semenyo. So if I sell
Yeah.
Semenyo at some point, I could bring him in. My second, I think I picked this guy, but no, whatever. I didn't. I picked Darwin Núñez before. I'm bringing in a Liverpool player, mate, for that game at home to Fulham. I'm going to bring in Cody Gakpo. The reason I'm going for Gakpo is he didn't start in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Núñez had an absolute shocker in that game, all over the place. So I think Gakpo has been rested for the Premier League game against Fulham. And he might start. He came when he came out of the Champions League. He seemed to be playing down the middle for a little bit, and Diaz on the left.
Yeah.
And then they swapped at some other point. But yeah, 2.7% owned. He's looked good on the eye. He scored some goals in the cup. Got a couple in the league and the Champions League. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I like
I'm gonna go Cody Gakpo.
I like it, and I like the logic, mate. I just looked at Madueke. Like I thought he'd be a bit of a curveball pick for Chelsea in a good fixture.
Go
He's
on,
7% owned. That's crazy.
7,
That is
7. Is that hat
that's
trick? Got the
crazy.
hat trick, and people just went for him.
Yeah, that's when people were very active as well, wasn't it? So yeah, gonna give
That
to
out
give
of
you a bit of time.
just to put this into context, he has more owners than Son. Son's
Yeah,
five point
I
one
looked
percent
at
owned.
Son. I looked at Son.
Mm.
Mm.
Maduaki's got more owners than Son. Tell you, you never thought that. You never thought you'd see the day. Tough, isn't it? It's a tough game
Yeah,
week.
I've spotted a few players like Odegaard is now 6%. Robinson is 6%, right? So I was eyeing him up. Bear with me, mate.
Yeah. Take your time. Take your time, man.
I'd say
The only other one.
this is a terrible listen.
Yeah, no. The only other one I had in mind, in case you want to, you want to look at it, Kulusevski. But we've had him before, and I don't. Did he get an assist for me? Maybe. But he seems to be getting in and amongst it. Got Southampton. Not that I'm trying to talk you into him at all. Make your pick. But I'd be really annoyed if you picked
Madison
him
is
and he scored.
7% as well. That's crazy. Like some of these, I think there's definitely periods of the season where people at this peak transfer time and people are very active on the game, and they're like, okay, I'm going to make a move.
Yeah.
Right, I need to lock into someone because this is not entertaining for anyone, and I'm feeling the pressure. Right.
This is hopefully where I win.
And I'll blame it on just like the rushed decision and whatnot, being put under pressure. I will go
On curveball.
Harvey Barnes
Harvey Barnes
against his old team.
Home to Leicester.
Yeah, so he's 2% owned.
I like it. And you wanted 2 assists in the last game, or was that Jacob Murphy? I can't remember. I think he got a goal actually, did he? Harvey Barnes.
Well, there's a risk he won't play, but I'm going for that motivation factor. And I was just panicking. I was like, okay, let's pick an easy fixture and find someone that's under 5%. 5% is a tough threshold. It's tough.
It is. It is very tough. We've done all right for a couple of weeks. Back in the double for you. But there you go. So Evan Nielsen and Harvey Barnes for you. Strand Larson and Cody Gakpo.
I'm sorry about that, guys. That was a terrible listen. I'll be
you
more prepared next time.
We'll see. Hopefully, me 7-5. If you go 8-4 in the leads, nobody wants to listen to it. Like it's like being Celtic.
It's pure luck as well. If you get the lead after you've thought it through, nice and thorough, with lots of logic, I'm just like, Harvey Barnes.
You'll take it though. You'll take it. Of course. We'll just finish off as we always do. Game week 16 reveals. You're on 2 free transfers. Have a look at it.
So yeah, my team is looking okay. So at the moment, it's Fabianski, Saliba, Gabriel, who hasn't been picture training, so I'll keep a keen eye on that. Greaves, Palmer, who's currently my vice captain in midfield, and Mbeumo, Salah, who's currently my captain, but as I was saying, really close. Saka, Solanke, João Pedro, and Cunha with a bench and Flecken, which I think I'll do. I think Chelsea are a lot better than Bournemouth for Fabianski, and then Rodgers, Van der Ven, and then a suspended Lewis because of the red card. I've got 2 free transfers. I think looking long term, I need to shore up my defence a little bit. I could be short on numbers. Lewis is out. Gabriel could be out. Van der Ven doesn't really count as a player because they can see so many goals. Greaves, I don't want to be starting an Ipswich defender, and he's just returned from a big injury, right? So yeah, he might be rested here and there. So I'm looking, and for my structure, I'd love a Trent, right? But I can't really just force him in, right? I have like 0.2 in the bank. So yeah, I'm looking at a cheap defender. So really, the 2 ones where I'm looking at the fixtures, mate. And it was good that you shared the fixtures. Newcastle and Chelsea will stand out, right? So I'm thinking probably Colwill or Lewis Hall. So I'm edging towards Colwill, and probably I'll move Lewis because I can. He's suspended, but also I don't like the uncertainty that I get from him. Right, and early in the year he was like smashing out the stats, like in terms of getting in the box. He's not really doing that now, right? So he's too much hassle. Like at the moment, with like kind of like that uncertainty that he brings. So I reckon I'll do Lewis to Colwill, and then at the moment captaincy's with Salah, but I'll look into it a bit more. I'll quite happily captain partner.
Yeah, nice. I like the team. I mean, this front 7 attack, even I mean, I suppose Forest are doing okay defensively, but even Rodgers isn't horrific for a pick. So it looks pretty steady up top.
Yeah, I don't think Mbeumo versus Rodgers is a decision at the moment, though. I think Mbeumo.
No, you've got to go with Mbeumo. Absolutely.
Right, so, yeah,
he's on the penalties as well, which helps. And I dare say Forest statistically have a better defense than Chelsea. Somebody might correct me on that, but I'm a big Forest fan in terms of their defence. Although they did concede 3 at Arsenal and 3 against City.
Well, they're playing better teams now, isn't it? So these stats
so start to move maybe.
Take them with a pinch of salt. But yeah, I'm happy with that. £7 takers out my front 8, and then Solanke away to thing. And then in theory, if Gabriel starts, that's a solid looking defence as well. Like, I think if he's out, then it looks a bit more vulnerable. But yeah, I'm cool with that. I'm probably 50% plus that I'll do that. Lewis to Colwill. Move.
Yeah. Then nice. Looks a stronger defence going forward. I've teased you with my thoughts. I've got 2 free transfers as well, but I've got a massive £5.8 million in the bank. And the move I really like the look of is Mbeumo and Wissa out, and I can afford Saka and Jackson in.
Yeah, Okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't realize you had 5.8 in your bank.
Yeah, so it's I feel like they're solid. They're solid enough
Yeah.
upgrades to warrant it.
Um,
Um, I do like Saka as an option. He's at home to Everton. My other thought there is I just do Saka and I leave Wissa in. I don't need to force the Jackson move and roll a second transfer.
yeah.
That'd give me some flexibility to maybe do the Haaland move at 18 if that's the route to take. But in all honesty, I don't think I'm going to bring Haaland in, so I might just do the two. I do need to deal with Edison at some point, but I'm not in any particular rush. Fabianski continues to play. West Ham have some okay fixtures, so I don't need to force that
No,
this week.
agree. Agree. Can you forward Isak instead of Jackson?
No. If I get Saka, no. And I'm about no unless I take a -4 and deal with Edison at the same time.
Are you desperate for Trent? Not really. I mean,
No.
yeah.
Yeah, not too
I'm
much.
surprised. Yeah, I like those moves. I think they're cool. They're good moves. I think be prepped for when Mbeumo fall randomly, right? Because he just does it.
No.
But Saka like for like is a few levels above at the moment, and then Jackson be prepared for a random benching, right? But yeah, I like those moves a lot given the fixtures and the players you're bringing in. Yeah,
I've kind of realised with Chelsea, they basically have a midweek squad and a weekend squad. Jackson plays every weekend, and the game that he got dropped in was midweek, so he won't play tomorrow when they're playing in Europe, and Kungi will get the start again. But it seems to be if it's a midweek game, and Kungi plays. If it's weekend, Jackson plays. And I think going forward, there's a lot of weekend games for Chelsea. Although New Year, Christmas period, I'm assuming he'll be swapped every
yeah,
other
mate.
game.
I would do that. Yeah, that move is really good. I get the logic. Yeah, surprised me there. I was expecting something like on the edges where it was like Bowen and Jimenez. That's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. Class moves. Yeah, so you're happy there? Happy with Jackson in?
Yeah, yeah, spot on. Yeah,
Do you think?
I'd love like, yeah, the strikers I would want it like Jackson or Isak at the moment. So yeah, I think that's very jealous, mate. This is when you can start. This is when like that gap
Do you
between
think
you and
about
I
his?
can start stretching. These are nice moves. Yeah.
Do you think about his force worth it to make Jackson Isaac?
No, 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 no.
Okay, good. I'm glad you said that. Yeah. I also prefer long term. I prefer Jackson's fixtures. The next two for Isaac are nice, but after that, I'm not so keen. So yeah, I might go with that. But for those listening, the rest of the team pretty solid. I feel Edison in goal, even if he gets dropped, I've got Fabianski away at Bournemouth. I'm okay with that. Gabriel and Saliba hopefully will both play. If not, Van der Berg comes on away at Chelsea or Mikalenko away at Arsenal. Not happy with that, but I'm not gonna. I'll get over it because my other defender is Aina at home to Villa. I feel like that could be a potential clean sheet.
Mhm.
And then similar across my attack, same as you, mate. The top seven: Palmer, Semenyo, and Salah in the midfield. All home games: Brentford, West Ham, and Fulham in that
Mhm.
order. And then up front, Cunha and Pedro, both penalty takers. One at home to Ipswich, one at home to Palace, and then likely Saka and Jackson to complete that. Saka at home to Everton, Jackson at home to Brentford. I will be very, very disappointed if that front seven, if I do those transfers, don't come back with at least 5 goals.
No,
Very
agreed.
disappointed.
Agree. No, your team's gonna be looking very good. Like very jealous as well. Um,
Hopefully it lasts. It's not just a one-off game week. But yeah, captain for me, I'll probably end up on Mo Salah. I feel I've got him back. I've got to back my Liverpool player.
yeah, yeah. I think I'll
Yeah.
probably stay on. Yeah, I think I'll probably just land on him as well. I think there's uh, more routes to a goal. Yeah, looking good, mate. I think it should. But
Very good.
it's always like famous last words. It should be good weeks for both of us, given the squads. But yeah,
Fingers
ready
crossed.
for Gabriel to be benched, like injured again, and Van der Ven to come on for an own goal. Get ready to
Yeah.
get prepped for that. But yeah, it's looking good. Looking good.
Good. I'm glad. And that brings us to the end, my friend. We game week starts on Saturday, I believe. It's not a Friday game this week, is there? Friday, it's Saturday kickoff. There is a 12:30, so the deadline will be 11 o'clock. So yeah, thank you for joining us, Matt. I'm sure we'll pick up next week as well, but ahead of the game week 17, which is the following weekend. There is no mid game week because of the League Cup. So I'm sure we'll pick up at some point next week ahead of that. But yeah, best of luck with the weekend, mate. Hope all the arrows be green for you.
And to you as well. and to the listener as well. But I won't ruin your closing statement.
Of course, yeah. And thank you to the listener for joining us. Hopefully you found it useful. If you did, please give us a like. Please give us a subscribe. It does help us as a little thank you. It's free to do, and it also means other people can find us as well. And as Matt says, whatever you do this week, whatever transfers you make sure those arrows are green. We will catch up with you next week ahead of game week 17. Until then, all the very best.